Good day, fish tankers. Algae, it's such a pain in the backside, and although it should never be used as an excuse for bad husbandry, we need to take care of other factors as well. A bit of a cleanup crew might really be handy. Now, some people will use snails, but you don't always want to struggle with controlling their numbers like with Malaysian trumpet snails, or maybe snails are just not your bag. You don't want the common plecostomus because these guys will grow into big poop machines instead of algae eaters, and you certainly don't want the Chinese algae eater. They quickly stop eating algae, become aggressive, and even eat the slime coats off your fish and kill off your whole aquarium bit by bit. Not even this nice gold color variation of a Chinese algae eater. The Siamese algae eater, though, is much better. They really go into that blackbeard algae, but they grow big and they need big tanks, so they're not really suitable for your nano tank. And then you get the black mollies that'll eat hair and brush algae, but they like hard alkaline water, which you don't always find in a planted tank. The bristle nose on citrus type pleco catfish, I like them. They're great algae eaters, but they can be rough on your broad-leaved plants like your Amazon swords. So what algae eater would be ideal for your nano tank then? Stick around and find out, because I've got the candidate. I'm talking about this fellow, Ottocinclus vittatus, which is the common otto, the dwarf suckermouth catfish. So they're called ottos for short sometimes. There's a couple of species in the hobby. This is what we mostly see. It stays small, 4 to 5 centimeters, and they're from South America and very peaceful fish. But they are sometimes very finicky. They tend to die by just you looking at them, and they really don't do well. Sometimes for hobbyists who just gives up on them. There are two things that you must keep in mind to prevent that, and the first is to get a healthy stock. Observe them in the shop and see that they are actively grazing on the flat surfaces like these guys are doing, and that they are not starved or emaciated. They must be feeding well, and you can clearly see it on these guys doing synchronized eating on the glass. Their bellies are pearl shaped, they're eating well, and that is what you're looking for. You can see this fellow is grazing off the algae on the leaves where they're active and feeding. Now they feed off algae and biofilm called aufwuchs, but you have to specifically feed them because there's often not enough algae or the right type of algae, and I feed mine blanched baby marrows, sometimes blanched de-shelled peas, and you can also use algae wafers. That can also work, but I prefer blanched vegetables. And another little hack that I've learned, when you get them at first, try and put some new pieces of spiderwood in the tank, because that develops a biofilm, sort of an ugly looking fungusy white fuzz around the spiderwood, and the ottos love to graze on that, and that gives them a nice little nutritional boost. Guys, please remember to share the content among your fishy groups. It will greatly help to promote the channel. And there you see the otto busy grazing on the plants, and the nice thing is they don't damage your plants, they don't eat your plants. They're very peaceful, and they'll even shrimp safe. Now they're from South America, so the water soft and acidic, pH 6 to 7.5 will be fine. They can take it a little cooler, 21 to 26 degrees Celsius, and as I've said, they're suitable for smaller tanks. 10 gallons is fine. I've got 3 that do well in a 7-gallon cube, and they like to be in shoals, big groups, but it's not as crucial as with fish like Corridoras. Rather have 2 or 3 than have a group and there's not enough food for them in the tank. And I tend to think, try and introduce them. If you don't have spiderwood that's got the biofilm on, use spiderwood. Introduce them when the tank is already established. And they like hiding spaces, like they're often found in nature underneath driftwood, and that helps a lot. Guys, please remember to hit that like button. Greatly appreciate that. That helps the channel as well. And they're very peaceful with tank baits. As I've said, they're shrimp safe, but they don't want large competing fish. The Siamese algae eaters, if they start small with the ottos and the tank is big enough with a nice hiding places, I find they do fine. But when I introduced bigger ones, I found that the ottos became timid. So take care of that, but for the most part, they are fine with almost all fish, they haven't got an aggressive bone in their body. If you've watched this far, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Always appreciate it. And let me know in the comment section if you've kept these little fish and what were your experience with them. So that's it for the ottos. You can see them busily going about the tank. That is my number one algae eater for smaller tanks. They're not perfect, they don't eat the hair algae. Some people said they eat blackbeard, I haven't found it. They mostly eat the diatom softer algae that you can rub away with your fingers, but they're great for doing that. So that's it guys, until I see you again, take good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.